It's funny how unpopular traditional ideas can be. We as a people used to be savers. It was common practice, save money, put some money away for a rainy day. And then credit came along, and savings gradually became unattractive. Banks don't pay interest on savings accounts anymore. Credit is easily available. There's so many consumer items out there to buy that it just seems like money becomes just something that slips through our hands, and we see it every day. I see it myself sometimes. We all develop these habits of wanting things and spending money frivolously. So savings isn't popular anymore. So I'm a precious metals dealer, and I get a lot of people coming through talking to me, and there's a lot of buy low, sell high sentiment still out there. Still a lot of people chasing the tops and bottoms of the market. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but I am saying that it can be frustrating, and there could be a better way to set your perception of what you're involved in. And I think that probably it's a safer bet to look at it as a traditional savings vehicle. Now you say, okay, well, why not just save up dollars, put them in a bank account? Well, for the very reason I said initially, is impulse. It's too easy to spend on impulse, even if you put it in a bank account now. We don't have to return to a bank account like we used to years ago and go withdraw cash. We have ATM machines and credit cards and easy access. The liquidity of our cash is so available now that it's just too easy to spend without any reservation, without any reflection upon how much the cost is. I mean, I've said to people that when we talked about savings, I've always been a proponent of it, and I've often given the advice out that if you want to really save money, forget gimmicks, forget tricks. My method that I suggest to people is to sit down and review for 1 month. Take a pad and paper around with you and review everything you spend. So write down the item, write down the price, write down at the end of the month. Sit down and have a look at it. Compile all that information and have a look at it. And what will happen is you'll suddenly have an emotional attachment to how much money you've spent. And once we have an emotional attachment to it, that will help drive us in the proper direction to help mitigate some of this, improper spending. Maybe you don't have any bad habits. Maybe you are one of these people already, and if so, that's great. But that's the first thing we really need to do in order to become a saver again. Now, above and beyond that, okay, you talk about savings just in a bank account. Again, too liquid, too accessible. So I want to talk about silver as a savings vehicle. Forget about the dollar cost. Forget about the rising market. Forget about all that stuff. Put aside all of those ideas about buying silver at $20 and cashing it in later at 100 and making a ton of money. It doesn't get you off the impulse treadmill. It's just another type of impulse. So let's look at the long-term reasons for saving with silver. Well, number one, I believe that once you've made the decision to actually become a purchaser and you take the metals home with you and you put them away, the first thing you've done now is remove the potential for impulse. You simply can't go down to the local shop and spend that silver. You need to cash it back in for fiat currency and go back out into the marketplace and spend it. So this creates an arm's length scenario, and it's easy to dismiss that as being trivial, but it's not. It's a powerful thing. When money is super easy accessible, even making it remotely more difficult, which it's not. I mean, our shop is in the downtown core of our city. People could come by any time, cash in their silver, take the cash and go and spend it. It really wouldn't take all that much. It's 10 minutes out of their life. But just the psychological variable of, I made this decision to get involved in silver. I'm holding it now. You begin to treasure and covet a little bit. It takes a little bit more from a psychological standpoint to part with that now. And that can be powerful in a world where money is so accessible. So that's a good thing. I mean, we often hear the real estate industry and those that are involved in it purport the same thing about having a mortgage. A mortgage is a forced savings vehicle. We've heard that quote before. A forced savings vehicle, really? Well, I would argue that. I won't get into that right now. But if you want to argue that that's true, certainly it's difficult to just go in and grab equity out of your house and go down and impulsively spend it. So I guess on that point, it's correct. But where silver has many advantages over real estate in that regard, and I'm going to do a totally new video on that at one point, real estate versus silver, so I won't belabor it right now. But suffice it to say, I think that as a savings vehicle for most people that are buying in small increments, silver pretty much can't be beat. It's got a lot of advantages. So maybe in the next video we'll talk about those advantages and maybe compare real estate as a forced savings vehicle to silver. Anyway, that's enough on that subject now. Signing off. Goodbye.